You'd have to ask the sheriff and the attorney on that.
I would love to, but he's got to show up.
Yeah.
An Indiana sheriff and his wife, who's a candidate to replace him as Clinton County's top cop, are both facing serious fraud allegations. Right now, they stand accused of two major schemes to allegedly enrich themselves on the county's dime. And those alleged schemes reportedly involve funneling jail commissary funds into their own pockets and allegedly faking a disability for more than a decade, apparently raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars from the state police pension fund. And I will tell you, according to authorities, it is the social media posts that may be this couple's downfall. We are breaking down a scathing 13-page affidavit that was filed in Indiana court. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, real quick before we go any further, I have to tell you guys about this app that I think you're gonna love. It is called Upside, okay? Upside gets you cash back, extra cash back on everyday purchases like gas, groceries, takeout. So here's what you do. You download Upside for free, you claim an offer at one of their 100,000 plus locations, you pay like normal with your card, you verify the purchase, and just like that, money back. So say I need to get gas or I want takeout one night, I'll search for Upside offers first, and after I spend, money appears in my app that I can transfer right into my bank account. And by the way, Upside's frequent users, they earn an average of $254 back a year. So to start getting your cash back, click the link in the description or scan the QR code, but make sure to use promo code SIDEBAR because you'll get an extra 25 cents bonus on every gallon on your first tank of gas. Hope you can check it out. Now, I just laid out a lot in that intro, so let me just say, before I even get into this, the allegations here, these are allegations, they're innocent until proven guilty. A little bit later on in the program, I am bringing on an attorney who's going to make sense of this and the strength of these allegations, the strength of this case, what we should be thinking about. But here's the point. If you look at Rich and Ashley Kelly's Facebook pages, they seem to be living the dream. They appear to be heavily involved in their community, had jobs where they could serve as law enforcement officers. The couple reportedly have 8 children, 4 of them still apparently living at home. And right now, Rich serves as sheriff for Clinton County, Indiana. He's a retired state trooper, ran unopposed for sheriff with his tenure starting in 2019. He was reelected in 2022, and Rich's term is going to be over at the end of 2026. But he announced that he is running to be a county commissioner, while his wife, Ashley, will run to take over for him as sheriff. In fact, in her candidacy announcement, which was posted on Facebook, Ashley wrote, quote, "My husband and current sheriff will no longer be a part of the sheriff's office, but will serve as a vital partner and resource moving forward as he embarks on new and exciting ventures outside of law enforcement." So you go to the pair's Facebooks, and they feature everything from family updates to special event photos to announcements about upcoming elections. They also both have Facebooks dedicated to their political campaigns. But, it is those very social media pages that reportedly provided investigators with alleged evidence to slap both of them with felony charges. Again, they are innocent until proven guilty, but I need to lay this out, okay? Turns out, those charges are just the latest in ongoing investigations involving Ashley and Rich. We're going to get more into the exact claims against them, but as of right now, according to court records, Ashley Kelly faces 2 counts of fraud and 1 count of theft and 1 count of official misconduct by a public servant. Richard Kelly faces 2 counts of aiding, inducing, or causing fraud, 1 count of aiding, inducing, or causing theft, and official misconduct by a public servant. So according to media outlet WIBC, under Indiana law, and this is, you might not know this, apparently a sheriff can continue to serve in that office even if they're under investigation, even if they're under indictment. But if they're convicted, that's what triggers an immediate removal from office. Now, the ongoing claims against Sheriff Kelly have apparently caused some exasperation with county commissioners. Why do I say that? Because on April 7th, Chief Deputy Sean Mayfield was sent to the commission meeting on the sheriff's behalf, and this was a move that was reportedly slammed by Commission President Jordan Brewer as, quote, cowardice. Take a look.
And so we have sent a letter a few weeks ago requesting information, and we've basically been stonewalled in receiving any of that. So when are we going to receive the videos we requested?
That'll be up to the sheriff and the attorney. So.
But I guess that's where I'm confused, because aren't those public record?
You'd have to ask the sheriff and the attorney on that.
I would love to, but he's got to show up.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll be here hopefully he'll be in here next time, so.
I mean, when you go in hiding, it's hard to ask questions, and I feel bad for you because you get up here and have to deal with it, but really this is his responsibility, but he chooses not to do anything.
Hopefully he'll be here at the next one and he can answer all your questions.
Well, I have my doubts on that. So I just think, you know, you had a merit board president who expressed his frustration, and I think terminology used was he was pissed, and I think ultimately that's where everybody's just frustrated because one, this has been going on for what, 2 months? I think it was the middle of February when it first came out. We're approaching the middle of April. There's no way that the request that we made should take this long to receive, especially since they're not related to the kind of state police criminal investigation. So I guess I'm just, what's the holdup? That's what I want to know. I think everybody wants to know that.
I just told you the holdup, we're just waiting for this criminal and that's.
But I don't think that's the case.
Well,
I think that's.
It doesn't matter I get what everybody's concerned about, okay? But until this is going, then we'll finish it up, so, and that's gonna be my answer for now, so.
Go ahead.
Have you had communication with the state police?
I have not, no.
And you're supposedly in charge of the investigation on our side.
I'm supervising the investigation, the
Supervising.
detectives are doing the work, so.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I would assume you should be the go-to guy, correct? When they start having questions?
Yeah,
But yet you've
could
had
be,
no
yeah.
contact with them whatsoever in 2 months' time?
I've not, they've got the case now, when they call us, we'll handle it from there. So.
Just as a question, is there a reason?
I get the
why-
question.
Can you call them and ask them?
I
I
probably
mean,
could,
is that
yeah.
not?
I probably could, so, but for right now, I'm
We're
gonna
just
let them,
gonna
I'm gonna
wait.
let them finish the work, and then when
Well,
we
if
get it
they-
all handled,
But if they
we'll
haven't
move on.
started anything, they've not even started the work yet. Obviously, they've not even contacted you. My question is, why would you not call them and see where we stand at this point?
For right now, that's where it's gonna,
Because we're just kicking it down the road, that's what it amounts to, right?
I get what you're saying, but for right
Okay.
now, it's just
Thanks.
gonna be that way.
So you're supervising, so you will let us know as soon as you hear something.
I'll let you know, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't have anything else.
All right, well, hopefully I'm hoping to have more next time and if the sheriff's not here, I'll update you more, and hopefully I'll have more information I do now. So,
We hate to put you under the gun.
I get it.
48 hours later, both Kellys would be hit with those fraud charges. A sergeant detective with nearly 30 years of experience with the Indiana State Police filed an affidavit of probable cause on April 9th. So this is a sworn statement saying there is probable cause that a crime or crimes were committed. And it gives us kind of a look at specific allegations in this case, okay? So here's what's being alleged about the timeline that investigators were piecing together according to that affidavit. Ashley Kelly became a state trooper in December of 2007. She was reportedly injured on the job and has been on full disability with the Indiana State Police since October of 2015, which we will dig into more, those specific alleged injuries soon, key factor. Back in 2018, when Rich was elected sheriff the first time around, he wanted to appoint Ashley to 2 positions within the sheriff's office. So reportedly jail matron and jail commissary manager. According to the probable cause affidavit, quote, employees of the Indiana State Police are required to obtain approval from the ISP Human Resources Division and ISP Legal Division with final authorization from the superintendent prior to engaging in outside or non-departmental employment, NDE. This requirement is governed by standard operating procedure. Continues, stating the jobs of jail matron and jail commissary are, quote, separate and distinct roles which by law cannot be performed simultaneously. Each position would require its own NDE approval. Again, non-departmental employment. Although Ashley Kelly was on disability status, she remained an employee of the Indiana State Police and therefore remained subject to NDE requirements. Additionally, due to her disability status, further stipulations were required before any such employment could be approved. On October 30th, 2018, Ashley Kelly's husband, Sheriff-elect Richard Kelly, emailed ISP Human Resources outlining the proposed job conditions for Ashley Kelly as jail matron. This is a statutory role that requires appointment and oversight by the sheriff. Indiana code states that the sheriff shall set the qualifications of the position and has complete hiring authority over the position. Now, the document apparently has a screenshot of that email, and according to the investigator, quote, he specified that the position would involve no uniform, no intimate contact, no duty belt, no special duty or sworn authority, and would consist primarily of administrative duties such as payroll, budgeting, and supervision of civilian clerical staff. But investigators apparently uncovered a lot of evidence that they claim showed Ashley frequently ventured outside of that job description. And as I mentioned, this is not the first time that Rich and Kelly have had their actions questioned by ISP, by Indiana State Police, because according to reporting from Fox 59, a couple of months before Rich was sworn in as sheriff, he and his wife apparently created an LLC, a limited liability company called Leone LLC, and an investigation by the Indiana State Board of Accounts found that Ashley owned 51% of the company, Rich owned the other 49%, and the board reportedly discovered that this LLC received more than $200,000 in unauthorized payments from the jail commissary. There was allegedly no written agreement of any kind authorizing those payments. And the Kellys' ownership of the LLC was also reportedly never disclosed to the county. So you could see, if these allegations are true, why it's a problem. Now, at this point, per the State Patrol investigation, commissary payments stopped being made to the LLC and instead allegedly went directly to Ashley. But that would have required a new NDE, but none was apparently ever filed. As part of the investigation into the commissary issues, Rich and Ashley were reportedly charged with 3 counts of misconduct, 1 count of conflict of interest by a public servant, according to reporting from Indiana media outlet WISH-TV. They entered not guilty pleas, continued to work for the sheriff's office, and WISH-TV reports that Rich called the charges a, quote, political farce. With that trial still pending, in September of last year, per Fox 59, a judge had apparently issued a summary judgment in a civil case brought against the Kellys, meaning they lost. The couple was ordered to pay just under $330,000 back to the state. Around $100,000 of that apparently comes from the cost of an audit to uncover the alleged commissary fraud. And despite the accusations against them and their legal issues, the two have reportedly continued to live their lives, posting often on their personal social media pages and kept participating in local elections. But as they were investigating the issues with Leone LLC, investigators started uncovering allegations of a different kind of fraud. So there were multiple claims that Ashley was faking her disability and bilking the state out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they allege her husband helped her do it. So according to a probable cause statement, investigators interviewed citizens and Clinton County government officials. Quote, several of them stated they believed Ashley Kelly was making a false disability claim against the Indiana State Police. Many of these witnesses in the criminal matter told us Ms. Kelly was faking the injury and provided us with photos from her Facebook page and other media showing her performing activities that a person with a disabling neck injury would likely not be able to do. At the time, we were unable to locate witnesses willing to testify against Kelly about their observations. But then in January of this year, apparently 2 deputies contacted ISP to report that Ashley is not disabled, that she's committing fraud. So according to investigators, she reported an on-the-job injury in 2014. She apparently slipped on ice outside her patrol car, hurt her neck and mouth. She returned to work a little more than a week later, but she later stated that her neck injury was keeping her from doing her job and that the weight from a protective ballistics vest was exacerbating her symptoms. And as part of her disability application, per the affidavit, Ashley's chiropractor reportedly submitted a report saying that Ashley was dealing with, quote, intermittent but unstable vertigo, that she often experienced dizziness. He said she cannot work or drive without assistance, and he advised against her returning to work. And she went on full disability reportedly in October of 2015, receiving payments from the State Police Pension Trust. That's the allegation. Between May 2021 and March 2026, Ashley reportedly received payments totaling more than $200,000. Again, this is according to the affidavit. Now, Ashley had follow-up examinations over the years, and while the doctors agreed that she couldn't perform the duties of a state trooper out in the field, she was still employable. In fact, here's what an independent medical examination apparently found in 2021. During her evaluation, Kelly stated the following limitations. She does not drive due to vertigo, nausea, and pressure sensations she experiences behind her eyes. She further stated that playing with her kids, overuse, shopping, vacuuming, and throwing a ball with her kids can trigger her pain, as well as any other activities that involve her neck or right shoulder. During her physical evaluation, Kelly was found to have full strength in her upper and lower extremities with normal sensation in all 4 extremities. She has full cervical range of motion but reports pain. She has palpable cervical muscle spasms. It was difficult to perform a full examination and complains of extreme pain with even light palpitation to her cervical spine. A review of Ashley's medical records allegedly showed that Ashley had gotten an injection that gave her full relief for a few weeks, but for some reason, she apparently chose not to continue with that treatment. But then you go to 2025. Another independent doctor did an exam, and he reported that Ashley provided him with an MRI showing some degeneration in her cervical spine, which is the part of the spine in your neck. But according to this doctor, this was likely just normal degeneration due to aging, not from the slip and fall. However, based on what Ashley reported about her pain, the doctor found she was still disabled from her position as a state trooper. And despite Ashley's disability being reportedly classified as Class 5, so apparently the most restrictive category for disability claims, she was allegedly seen in photo after photo on social media doing things she'd previously said or seemingly said were impossible for her to do. For example, photos of Ashley with a baby carrier on her back. According to the carrier specs, it weighs 4.6 pounds. Add to that the weight of a baby or toddler, and she had a significant weight on her back that would certainly be putting pressure on her neck and shoulders, at least according to investigators. And per investigators, the ballistic vest that was worn by state troopers, which Ashley said she couldn't wear, it weighed between 2.5 and 3.2 pounds. Photos were also apparently found showing Ashley carrying her children in her arms, something she had claimed for years she couldn't do. The affidavit states additional photos depict Kelly engaging in physical recreational activities, including horseback riding, parasailing, walking in parades with a toddler on her shoulders, playing golf. So multiple deputies also reported that they'd personally seen Ashley getting in and out of cars without assistance and driving long distances. She also reportedly posted a picture to Facebook of herself changing a large tire on the side of the road when her family was on a vacation. And there's the claims that Ashley did more than just administrative work for the sheriff's office and jail. Court documents state, well, under the guise of her employment as the CCSO jail matron, Ashley Kelly engaged in a number of law enforcement activities. These activities were observed by multiple sworn law enforcement officers from CCSO. They provided consistent and corroborating statements that Kelly participated in surveillance and criminal investigations, assisted in undercover drug operations, handled and counted evidentiary money, maintained investigative records and took photographs, exercised supervisory authority over deputies, and participated in physically demanding tasks, including search-related activities. Witnesses further observed Kelly performing duties in a jail setting, including interaction with inmates, without observable physical limitation. According to an undercover detective, Ashley Kelly directly supervised him, and in fact, he claims Ashley oversaw 4 of the 5 undercover operations that he'd been a part of at the Clinton County Sheriff's Office. She even reportedly climbed a tree to take pictures of a drug deal from the affidavit. Additionally, video footage dated September 16, 2022 depicts Ashley Kelly vigorously working out her upper body in the Clinton County Sheriff's Department gym. In the recording, she is observed performing an exercise commonly referred to as a Russian twist with a 14-pound medicine ball, as well as bicep curls, tricep pull-downs, and bench press exercises. These activities are inconsistent with the statement she made to examining physicians, in which she claimed she was unable to perform such exercises due to her reported line-of-duty injury. Now, the probable cause affidavit includes screenshots of Ashley purportedly doing those exercises in the department gym. The state police detective concluded the following. Even if Ashley Kelly's original 2014 injury claim was legitimate, the evidence overwhelmingly shows that she continued to accept disability benefits while knowingly misrepresenting her physical condition. The combination of first-hand law enforcement testimony, video and photographic evidence, documented inconsistencies in her medical claims, and her active participation in physically demanding and law enforcement-related activities establishes a clear pattern of deception. At a minimum, this conduct demonstrated that Ashley Kelly was capable of performing duties well beyond the limitations she represented, yet continued to collect disability payments based on those misrepresentations, regardless of the legitimacy of the initial injury. Continuing to receive benefits under false pretenses is sufficient to support criminal fraud charges. And their warrants that were put out for their arrest, and Rich and Ashley, were booked by the Marin County Sheriff's Office last week. Court records show they were released on a $1,000 cash bond each. And per reporting from WISH-TV, the Clinton County Commissioners released a statement calling for both Kellys to resign immediately. Quote, "For years, these issues have required significant time, attention, and taxpayer resources to address. These new charges make it clear that public trust has been broken. For the good of the Sheriff's Office and the people of Clinton County, Sheriff Kelly and Matron Kelly should resign immediately." And so far, the Kellys have not publicly responded to these allegations. They've been scheduled for trial in May of this year for the earlier fraud charges. Not clear if that date is going to change now, but I want to talk about it. Okay, I want to bring on former criminal prosecutor Dan Schorr. Has a novel out about misconduct allegations. It's called Open Bar. I encourage everybody to check it out. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time. I mean, you specialized in this. You've handled fraud investigations in the past. When you're thinking about these two different sets of allegations, right? What are your initial thoughts about this, the strength of the case from what you've seen, and also, is there potential wiggle room? Are these straightforward cases, or can they get complicated?
Well, one thing is that disability fraud is very common. A lot of people put in complaints when there's an injury and then they're getting benefits from their job or from their employer. And there's been a lot of cases where then people are found to be engaging in really vigorous athletic exercises, or, in this case, we have her changing a tire and parasailing and things like that. So this is not an uncommon allegation. I think the extent of it, how long it was going on for, makes it more unique and egregious. But it's interesting because back in the day when I started my career as a prosecutor over 25 years ago, we have investigators follow people and try to detect fraud like this. And now, in this case and in others, people just post it on social media. They post pictures of themselves engaged in vigorous activity or changing a tire or things like that. So many people are caught now just through their own disclosures online.
Is there wiggle room? You could say, listen, I can't do the certain job activities I'm assigned to do. Okay, I'm carrying my kids. I have no choice. I have to carry my kids. Working out, I have to do rehabilitation. I have to work it. I have to build my body up. Are those where it gets kind of tricky?
What the woman said that she could not do is inconsistent with what she was seen doing. I mean, she really said she couldn't drive, and yet she was seen and reported to have driven 100 miles on one trip and change a tire. So it's not just about, yes, I can't perform my job, but I could do other things, but the things that she supposedly was doing directly contradict what she had said she couldn't do. Now, maybe the wiggle room is saying, well, my situation improved over the years, because we're talking about a decade in time from the time it was reported to the time she was alleged to have been engaging in this misconduct. So you can say, okay, I got better, I was able to do more things, but there's no doubt that according to the complaint, what she specifically said she was incapable of doing and why she needed disability, that she was then engaging in activity over the course of years that was inconsistent with that.
The charges related to the commissary payments, you talk about paying through the LLC or alleged payments made directly to Ashley. Are those the ones where there's a paper trail and are easier to prove?
Yeah, because the lack of disclosure of being an owner and having a financial benefit from what would be a conflict of interest, if that was true, there are different policies, procedures, potentially laws that would be violated there. I mean, one is just not disclosing a potential conflict of interest, and then also potentially gaining a financial benefit from your own work, working for a government entity. Those are serious violations. And again, I've seen those in fraud investigations I've done where people have LLCs. They try to be opaque about who the owners are when they're receiving benefits from it. But certainly if through their work, they're steering money towards an LLC that she has some kind of financial interest in without disclosing that, that's a serious violation. So, yeah.
What could be a potential explanation or defense for that, though? And look, they're innocent until proven guilty. They have a right to a defense. What could be an innocent explanation or benign explanation for any of this?
Well, I guess you could say that you didn't realize you needed to disclose that you were open about what the name of the LLC was. And maybe you could say, usually LLCs do have public records that if you look into them, it shows who the owners are. So someone could say, well, I said what LLC it was, and it was openly public who the owner was. Maybe they didn't disclose it themselves. I guess you could say that, but certainly the correct thing to do if you're getting a financial benefit in this way is to disclose I'm the owner of this company that's getting this money through the commissary. And they didn't do that here. And I also think if there is disability fraud over the course of years, that undermines the credibility of someone saying that this other potential fraud was innocent, because there's a potentially a pattern and practice over years of deceptive activity, and that undermines the credibility of a person.
So when we look at the court records, it appears that Rich and Ashley Kelly are being charged as co-defendants. If that's true, your thoughts on that? Because if they're married, how does that impact the case? You think about terms like spousal privilege, if that plays a role in this in any which way, if one decides to testify. But also I'm wondering, co-defendants on this.
Right. Well, look, if they both knew about this and they knew about this ongoing fraud and they were both working with the government, then certainly that they should be co-defendants if those allegations are true. In terms of spousal privilege, the biggest spousal privilege is that your discussions with your spouse, someone can't be forced to talk about them in court. So you couldn't subpoena one of them and say, tell us what your spouse told you. But the thing is, they're criminal defendants anyway, so they would have the right to remain silent. So I don't think that spousal privilege is that significant here. But certainly if there was a civil matter attached to this, they couldn't be compelled to talk about what their spouse told them. But sometimes it depends on the state of their marriage. Sometimes I've seen cases where a deal is made with one spouse and they testify against the other spouse. Obviously, the marriage is probably breaking up at that point, but that's something that has happened in cases I've seen.
And my understanding is they still haven't gone to trial on even the initial charges, and now you have this new allegation with respect to the alleged disability fraud. How does this all factor in together, all these different allegations?
Well, I think they each strengthen the other parts of the case, because often in a fraud case like this, you want to show a pattern of deception, a pattern of dishonesty. And if you can show, again, as I was saying before, with one part of it, the disability part, that someone was being deceptive and dishonest and stealing money from their disability payments, that goes to show that maybe the person's not credible regarding their explanation for other parts of it, such as the commissary payments and their LLC. So I think the more that you get in front of the same judge or the same jury and they hear multiple allegations of deception, they're less likely to be trusted. And you started the interview asking about what's an innocent explanation. It's harder to make an innocent explanation when there's more than one type of misconduct, because, okay, maybe this was innocent, but is this also innocent? And, it's hard to say that so many things can be innocently explained, but they are innocent till proven guilty. So maybe they'll be able to do that.
I mentioned before that at the time of this recording, it doesn't appear that they have resigned. Is that unusual?
I don't think it's unusual, because that is often part of the negotiation in a plea bargain, that if you do get a plea bargain, one of the agreements is that you're going to resign from your job. So that's something that's a bargaining chip for them. So I think to resign before a plea bargain would be a huge mistake, because that's often something that you can offer. Okay, I'll take this reduced sentence and I will resign. And that's something they want. If you resign, then the government's getting that without needing to negotiate.
When you heard the alleged facts laid out by authorities in this case, in your career, where does this range? I mean, what kind of, does this, you say, this is an outlier from something I've seen before, or this is consistent with what I've seen before? And again, these are allegations, but I do wonder, I always think for a jury, like, is it going to be hard sometimes to accept, what's being laid out here? You imagine people in a position of trust to allegedly do this. Where does these allegations rank for you in terms of what you've seen?
Well, as a fraud investigator for many, many years, none of this shocks me. I think that an average juror who hasn't been exposed to all that might be more shocked. I'm appalled by this type of activity if it's true, but I've just seen so much of it in my career where people are making disability claims and then getting benefits while they're able to do a lot of other physical activity, that they're steering money through an LLC that is a little bit potentially opaque about who owns it, and they're getting financial benefits. That's the type of things that happen a lot in government. And that's why you need inspector general's offices and things like that to investigate and have oversight. And cases like this are important, not just to bring potentially these people to justice, but also as a deterrent to other people, that other people who are potentially filing disability complaints when it's not merited may say, maybe I shouldn't do that. I just saw this case in the news. I saw it on Law&Crime where they were talking about someone getting caught. So maybe I should be more careful. That, I think it does serve as a deterrent.
All right. A lot of things to be thinking about with this one. Dan Schorr, always happy to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Jesse, thanks for having me on. Great to talk to you.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you next time, everybody.